Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Unarmed Podcast. Today, I wanted to focus on the topic of confidence. I think confidence is one of the most important topics someone can cover because I feel as if everyone struggles with confidence. There is not one person out there today who does not struggle with confidence. But there are also people who struggle with confidence but find a way to manage it. They find a way to be okay with certain things that they don't like about themselves. And I feel as if, I am at a point in my life where I am at that stage. There are a lot of times that I struggle with my confidence, but I am able to manage those feelings in a way where I can reverse them and easily find something that I love about myself and stop focusing on what I don't like about myself. And because I am in that stage of my life right now, I feel as if it is my obligation to be able to share with you, the work and the struggles that it took to be able to get myself to where I am today. And with that being said, I want you guys to remember one thing. And this one thing is of the utmost importance when it comes to confidence. Please remember and don't ever forget that confidence does not have to be found in your physical attributes. Please remember that. Confidence can be found in many, many, many things that aren't physical. You don't have to have confidence in the way that you look. Or let's go back. You don't have to love all the things about the way that you look. You can love the things about who you are as a person. You love that you're funny. You love that you're easygoing. That there's all these things that you should be able to find confidence within yourself for. So don't ever forget that. Confidence is not only physical. It can be about the person that you are too. Just don't forget that. I wanted to take this back, all the way back to when I was younger, because that's where it all starts. Having confidence is a journey, and it goes with you till you're a little kid. And when I was a little kid, I was very much chunky. I was probably a skinny kid up until maybe 5 or 6. And then I just kind of blew up. And I was never the type to think that I was a pretty girl. I always thought that I was very ugly. And at that time, there's not much at that age that is of more importance to you than the way you look and the way that people perceive you at school. Because at that age, that is your entire world, is your group of friends, or if you even have friends, if you're even able to gain any friends, that's your entire world at that age. And at that age, even though I did have friends, I still felt very ugly, never pretty. There was a point where I changed my clothing to boys' clothing because it just felt more me. I felt more comfortable in boys' clothing. I got out of that phase, but on top of being chunky, before my junior year of high school, which was when my mom was able to afford to get me braces, I had snaggle teeth. And not just one fucking snaggle tooth. I had 2 snaggle teeth. And one on the top, one on the bottom. So as soon as I open my mouth and smile, these things are poking right at you. Like, I hated my teeth. Like, just throw that on top of being chunky and thinking that I'm not pretty. Like, it was just a whole lot of mess going on for me. And in high school, my group of friends did change. I did start hanging out with the more popular crowd, and it wasn't because I wanted to be cool or anything like that. It's just because those people were my genuine friends. And to be honest, that group of people are my closest friends till this day. They're the ones that I text every single day. They're the ones that fly into Florida from Texas to come visit me. They're the first people that I go visit when I fly into Texas. Just the people who I care about the most and the people who cared about me the most. Anyway, so in high school, I started hanging out with the more popular crowd. And even though I loved them to death, I always shut myself down really quickly when it came to them. A lot of my friends were able to afford really nice clothing, and my family just didn't have the money to afford really nice clothing. My mom tried her hardest to get me, what was it at the time, like Abercrombie and Aeropostale and all that stuff. If you're my age, you'll know what I'm talking about. But she worked really hard, and sometimes I had one shirt from Abercrombie or this and that, but she tried her hardest, bless her heart. I just always found a way to shut myself down. I could be getting ready for school in the morning thinking that I did my makeup really nicely that day, and I did my hair really nicely, and my clothes looked cool. And then I get to school in the morning and I go sit at the cafeteria table because we had to wait in the cafeteria before class started and have breakfast there sometimes. And I would just shut myself down as soon as I saw my friends wearing like better clothing than me, and their hair looked better and their makeup looked better. It was so easy for me to shut myself down. But in high school, there were things that I did like about myself that were not physical. I really liked that I was able to do really well in school, because some people weren't able to do well in school, and I had something they hadn't. I don't know if I was smart or I just studied hard, but we're going to say I was smart. I had to find little things to keep me afloat, because in high school, and it's so sad nowadays, of all these kids taking their lives because of these bullies, and it breaks my heart. But it's just, I understand it, because at that age, school and high school and all that is your world. Your world revolves around that group of people and that setting, and it's heartbreaking. And there were bullies in my school, and I did get bullied in school, not in high school, but I did get bullied when I was younger. And you just always have to remember that the people that bully you are probably going through a lot more shit than you are. But you got to find things that you love about yourself. And I loved that I was able to do really well in school. I was so proud of myself for that. And I would always go back home and be the first one to show my report card to my mom and dad. And they would put it on the fridge. They would be so proud of me. And I love that about myself. I didn't love the way I looked, but I love that I had some brains in me. And I took that way of thinking with me into college. When I went into college, I did find a little more confidence in myself when it came to the way I looked physically. And it kind of vice versa. So I had confidence in the way that I look now, but now my confidence in the ability of the way that I was able to perform at school was shut down, because now I'm in college, things are a lot harder. I'm seeing all these different smart people around me getting A's, and I can barely pull off a C in some class. So it was just a constant work in progress for me. If it wasn't one thing, it's another fucking thing. And I always had to work hard at keeping myself afloat and not letting myself fall into this extremely dark place where I could find, where I couldn't find not one thing that I loved about myself. And when I started dating Daniel, I started dating him after I graduated college, but it wasn't until my senior year of college where I was able to build up a ton of confidence in myself and the way that I looked, because I had finally taken a hold of my health, and I decided that I was going to start eating healthy, I was going to start exercising, and that I was going to lose weight to fit into all this clothes that I loved, but they never had my size. And I worked really hard for that, and I was able to attain that goal. And I was just finally at a place in my life where I had a phenomenal boyfriend, I had a phenomenal job, I was able to fit into all this clothes that I had ever wanted to wear. I had the job, I had the guy, I had the clothes, I was just on top of the world. And that showed in my relationship. In my relationship, I was very confident in myself. And let me say that this is how all women should feel in a relationship, but sometimes that's not the case. But I was the type where I felt as if I didn't have to worry about anything when it came to him. I didn't feel the need to be jealous, because in my head at that point in my life, I was on top of the world. And if he fucked up, that was on him, and he was losing a really good woman. That's how we should all think, to be honest, as women. That's just not the case, but that is how we should all think. And I was just at that point, where I didn't care to look at his phone or look through his phone. I didn't care to take things out of proportion, because I just felt as if, if he fucks up, he fucks up, and he loses a really good girl, and there's someone out there who deserves me, who could treat me better. And so I was really free in our relationship, really go-lucky, and I loved that about myself. I loved that I could be that type of woman. And then the accident happened, very early in the relationship with me and Daniel. It happened maybe 5-6 months in. And when I lost my arm, that high peak that I was at the top of the mountain, this incident of me losing my arm just felt as if someone kicked me right off the mountain, and I was back at the bottom. And I'm laying there on my back, just looking up at the mountain thinking, shit, that's a long way up. Because I was literally at the bottom. I just lost a lot of confidence in myself as a woman. And at that time, it was looks. It was all about looks. Now, I will say that I was never the amputee who wore coats to hide the fact that I didn't have an arm, or would angle myself a certain way, so that you wouldn't be able to see that I didn't have an arm. I was never like that. I did find myself very accepting of the fact that I didn't have an arm, and it is what it is, and that's something that I can never change. I can't work extremely hard to gain my arm back. That's not the case. It is what it is. And so I wasn't afraid to show who I was, and who I was now I'm a woman with one arm. So I was okay in that aspect, but I wasn't okay now with the fact that I no longer looked the way that I used to for Daniel. I didn't care so much about myself. If I was by myself, I probably would have dealt with those types of feelings a different way. But because I was in a relationship and because I had Daniel, I just didn't see myself the same way. I did worry if he was going to stay. I did worry that he was going to start seeing me differently than who I was. Luckily, that wasn't the case, but at the time, that is how I thought. And because all my confidence was gone in myself as a woman, I started changing as a person and as a girlfriend for Daniel. I started seeing very, very ugly things coming out of me and changing in me. And it was all because I had lost confidence in the way that I looked. I lost confidence in the way that I looked, and that just spiraled into all these other things inside of me that were turning strong. I felt beautiful. I felt confident. I was always wrapped with love in CrossFit when it came to the people that I did CrossFit with. I felt good in that environment and in that setting, and I was happy and confident there. So that's what I showed you guys. But the minute I got back home, that girl was gone, done, out the door. And it was because very early on after the accident, man, I don't even know if I want to say this shit. All right, so very early on after the accident, I started noticing that a certain someone, I'm not going to say names or shit like that, but a certain someone was constantly texting Daniel, a woman, not a man, a woman. And it made me feel a certain way because I knew that he used to like this woman. And so I started, I would see this out of the corner of my fucking eye, and I was like, I was very unsure about it because I had lost all confidence in myself as a woman. And, the first things that play into my head are, is he gonna go to her, or is it because she has two arms and I have one arm? Is it because the way I look? It was just a constant battle, and it sucked because it was if I was letting this feeling build up inside of me. And I'm also the type of person, let me just say, I'm also the type of person that I have a very hard time explaining to someone sitting right in front of me how I feel, or just talking about the situation that I feel is giving me rage inside. And I would literally let it build up so much that my heart would start pounding. Like it was so bad because I wanted to say something so bad, but I held it in. I literally wanted to yell, at the top of my lungs, why the fuck are you texting this girl? What is going on? What are you hiding? But I didn't. I didn't do it. I just let it build up inside. It's the worst fucking thing you can do. Let me tell you, if you do that, please do not. I will tell you right now that you will feel a lot better if you just say what is on your mind. Trust me. But anyway, I didn't say anything. I just kept putting bad thoughts in my head just over and over and over again. And there was one night where Daniel went to the gym, came back, left his gym bag on the bed. I was already home. I was laying in bed. He left his gym bag on the bed, and he went to go take a shower. And his phone was in his gym bag. So what did I do? I grabbed his phone. All right, I grabbed the phone. I went directly to this specific person and I started reading. And it's not like I just started reading like immediately, like I fucking scrolled. I want to know what's going on. So I would scroll. And I was very specific. I'm very smart. It's very stupid. You guys shouldn't be doing this. But I was very specific as to how far I scrolled back. I don't want to know what you talked about previous to me. And to me, that was previous to you knowing me, you dating me. I don't care. What's in the past is in the past. But if you had already known who I was and you were dating me, that's when I want to know what's up. So I scrolled back, and I won't say what I read, but let's just say I did not like what I read. It was such an ugly feeling to read what I read. It was the worst feeling reading those words coming from him to her. And I put the phone back in his bag. He was still taking a shower. I grab my keys. I leave the apartment. I get in my truck and I leave. I drove, it wasn't even that far. I literally drove down the road, parked at a motel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a motel. And I called my best friend. I told her what I saw, and she was just like, she didn't know what to tell me or what to say. And she's like, where are you? Are you okay? I was like, I'm parked at a motel. I was like, I think I'm just gonna stay here. And she's like, no, you need to go back, tell him what you found and what you saw and read, and tell him everything you're telling me now. Go and tell him what you're feeling. And I was like, all right, that sounds really fucking hard for me to do because that's just not me. But, I was like, okay, I hung up with her. I kind of cried it out, pulled it together. And he had already texted me by this time. He's like, where are you? And I kind of, set it straight as to where it was going to go when I got home. I was like, bro, I went through your phone while you were showering. I read your text messages with so-and-so. And I know what you've been saying. So I think it kind of went like, come home, let's talk about it. And I had to work up a lot of fucking courage to go home and do this. But I did. Worked up the courage. And I basically just had to tell him, like, listen, you're with me now. Things like this shouldn't be said between you and another woman. Just saying. And I took it really, really, really hard. Like, I was heartbroken. Like, already I had no confidence. Like, if your confidence, my confidence was at a 0, it went to like a negative 1,000. Like, it was just completely gone. And once we worked over that, I mean, it took years to work over that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie. It took years of working on that one specific thing, because I let that one thing turn me into the nastiest person you could have ever seen in me. I turned into the person who started hating his best friends, because I didn't know what was going to happen when he was with them. Like, I just started letting all these things get to me. My confidence was shut down. And even when it came to CrossFit at that time, like, I felt better that I was working out. I was getting, the endorphins from working out. So it made me feel a little better. But as soon as I was done, I was just heartbroken again because I had to go back and deal with reality. And the reality was that I did have a good man. Yes, he did do some fuck ups. I did have a good man though. And I was too stubborn in my own ways to be able to get over things and try to work it out. I turned into the person that kept poking him about it. Just poking him. And this was a time when our relationship, I've said before that our relationship was rocky. I've never said why. This is why. Our relationship was very rocky. I had no confidence in myself. And I did see that I was turning into a very ugly person that I did not like. I did not like the fact that I was this person. And on the outside, physically, I was the fittest I had ever been at the time. Banging body, even though I didn't have an arm, like I had nice looking legs, I was muscular. I liked the way that I looked. I was good there. But because I didn't have no confidence within myself, bro, I could care less about the way that I looked. Could care less about the way that I looked. So it had to be, it just came to a point in my life where I said, this man is going to leave you because he can no longer be pushed anymore. Because I literally, bro, I was just there poking. And so we got to that point, we had lots of fights, lots of times where he left, lots of times where I left. And I said, you need to find it in yourself to let it go. Be confident again. And that was hard, bro. Like, let me tell you, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do, was to build the confidence back inside of myself. Not so much outside, but inside of myself. I had to go back and start thinking, Krystal, what do you love about yourself? What do you love about yourself? So I had to sit there and say, I love that I can care less about an arm right now. I mean, yes, the arm was taking away a lot of my confidence, but they kind of, it's in the background now. I'm worrying about other shit. So I loved that, I didn't let the amputation get the best of me. I loved that I could do really well in CrossFit if I set my mind to it. I was breaking all these records within my own personal records. I loved that about myself. I loved the fact that I could stay strong in certain situations, even though I was a hot fucking mess at that time, total breakdown. There were still certain things where I could find myself being strong. I just had to go back and find little things about what I did love about myself, because I was at a point where there was more hate than there was love. And when you're at that point in your life where there is more hate than love about yourself, things got to change. You got to make a change right then and there. And so I had to start letting go of all these things that I was holding on to. And I had to start going back into the mindset of, if he fucks up, he's going to lose a good girl. Because I am a good girl. I'm awesome. I may have one fucking arm, but I'm awesome. I'm good at CrossFit. I've got a good job. I've got a good head on my shoulders. Like, I'm a good woman. So I had to start getting back into that mindset. And like I said, this took years. And, we finally got to a great point in our relationship where I was able to take away some of the hatred and resentment that I had towards him, because it was a lot of hate, it was a lot of resentment that I had towards this man. I loved him to death, but I just, all it took was reading that one, I don't know what you would consider paragraph, a conversation, whatever the fuck it was. It just took that to like build all this shit up inside me. And so once I was able to kind of break free from that particular situation, that's when I started to see a whole new me. I was no longer getting angry, because literally his phone would ring and I would get anxiety. Who is it? Who's texting? Who's calling? I hated that about myself. And I was finally able to free myself up and be more confident with myself and who I was and what I had to offer in this relationship as a woman, that I was like, I don't care. I don't care who's on that phone. I don't care. There's like a little bitty piece down there that was like, you do care. But I had to keep telling myself, you don't care. You don't care. And it took a lot of work. And once we got to that great point in our relationship, then came another struggle. And that next struggle was post-pregnancy. And, after I had Joaquin, you guys have heard about the pregnancy and how hard that was for me. But that wasn't so much a confidence thing. That was just straight up anxiety for me. After I had Joaquin, I would stand in front of the mirror butt naked, and I would literally be like, ew. Like, I hated the way my body looked. Hated it. There was a ton of stuff I loved about myself on the inside. At this point, like, you couldn't fucking break me on the inside. But on the outside, I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit. And because I didn't like the outside, the way I looked so much, because I put so much emphasis on how much I hated the way my body looked, it started getting into the emotional aspect of it. It started getting on the inside of me and affecting the way I felt myself about the inside. And it started spiraling out of control. I tried my best to get back on track as soon as I had Joaquin. I went and I bought a template from a company called Renaissance Period. You probably know them as RP Strength if you even know about them, but basically templates that you can buy online. I followed them on Facebook. I still follow them on Instagram. And, I was always seeing these incredible transformations of people who had been following these templates and just got fucking shredded, losing all this weight. And I had told myself, I'm going to buy those templates for after I have Joaquin. I want to get back to where I was. So I bought those templates. At the beginning, I was very good about what I ate. And then I got to those templates. And those templates are very much about measuring your food and doing this and doing that. And I was doing it, but as I was doing it, I found myself getting more and more discouraged, because for one, that was never how I had done things before. How I had done things before when I was first losing weight, was just eating better and exercising. But I took a different route this time, and I bought these templates and I told myself, you're gonna follow them, you're gonna be shredded. And it discouraged me when I realized that, it was a hassle for me. For some people it's not. For me it was. For me it was a hassle to be measuring my food and, being very particular about what you're what you're eating and this and that. Like, it was just so hard for me and so discouraging that I stopped it. I stopped it probably after 2 or 3 weeks. Like, I immediately stopped it and I said, I'm done. I give up. This shit is too hard. I can't do it. And I started eating like crazy, and not good eating, bad eating. Chinese food, pizza, ice cream, burritos, like just hard. I don't know if I was eating my feelings, bro. I don't know what was going on, but I was eating a lot. And when it came to the exercise aspect of it, like, I was just so discouraged that I didn't even want to exercise either. And then I would go online and see all these other girls who had just had babies who were like out taking walks and this and that and eating good. And then it would just keep on with my spiral of like, dude, you suck. And like, it was just bad. And I kept doing it. I kept eating ugly. I did go back to CrossFit at one point. And, you know, I was doing CrossFit. I was happy and proud of myself that I was able to go back to CrossFit, but I was still eating like shit. And I saw nearly no results. If there was a result, it was so itty bitty, but basically nothing. Like, I was just slowly building my endurance back up, but you know, I wasn't losing any weight because I was still eating like shit. And I had to sit down and rethink things again. I had to sit down and say, what do you love about yourself? Because again, I was getting to a point where it was very little about what I loved about myself. And I had to rethink life as a whole and how I was going to do this now, because, you know, after I had Joaquin, it was very hard for me too, because I had come from being this competitive athlete who was training hours and hours a day, who was always out competing, trying to be the best athlete, adaptive athlete that she could be. And I wasn't doing that anymore. And I kind of got caught up in that whole adaptive athlete world. And I had made that as if that was who I was, that's who I am, that's all I am. And so I got very lost after I had Joaquin. I wasn't sure who I was anymore, how I was going to go about things. To me, I was like, this is what I have to do. This is what people are expecting of me. This is what I got to do. And I had to sit down and say that, you know, enough is enough, because it got to a point where I was doing these workouts. I was back at CrossFit and I was doing weights that I shouldn't have been doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and just like going back to the old Krystal of showing off and not wanting people to be like, ay, pobrecita, like, poor her, she doesn't have an arm. And like, I wanted people to look at me and be like, bro, look at this fucking girl with one arm, she's fucking snatching this, doing that. That's still kind of my mentality now, but it's changed. It's changed for the better. And I was literally struggling to get out of bed in the morning because I was having such bad hip pain and sciatica pain and just like pains left and right. Like, I had to wake up Daniel and be like, can you please go get Joaquin, because I couldn't even imagine like bending over right now and lifting a baby. Like, something's gonna break. And it was so bad. Like, my eating was bad. I had no energy. I had to work up a lot of energy just to get to fucking CrossFit. Like, it was just going bad. And I was like, all right, you're 20 some odd years old. You're not going to get any younger. Why do you keep doing this to yourself? Why do you keep doing this? Like, you're not even that happy, bro. Like, you don't like the way you look on the outside. You don't like who you are on the inside. You're doing all these habits that you know aren't you. Like, what do we gotta do here to fix this? And I decided right then and there that it was okay if I no longer wanted to throw weight in the air and do all this crazy bullshit. It was okay. Nothing wrong was gonna happen, nothing bad was gonna happen if I didn't always have a barbell in my hand trying to show off. Like, it's gonna be okay. And I said, I want to be healthy in the long run. I don't want to struggle to get my kid out of this crib anymore. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy again. I want to be happy with myself, and I'm not happy with myself. And so I took it into my hand, my own hand, and I took my health back. I started eating better, and because I started eating better, I saw the weight come off like crazy. I was exercising, but I was exercising smarter now. I don't want to downplay amputees who do use barbells and do all this crazy cool stuff. I don't want to downplay them. Bro, do what makes you happy. At one point that made me happy too, but it just got to a point where I realized that that's not what I'm going to be doing in the long run. Like, what is really going to be helping me in the long run? And when I changed my mindset on the way I thought of exercise and how I do exercise, everything changed. Everything changed. I started stretching every day. I hardly picked up a barbell. I used kettlebells. I used dumbbells. I wasn't there, because there are days when you feel strong and there are days when you feel weak. It's so weird. Like, one day you're back squatting 200 plus pounds, the next day you're like, fuck, 95 pounds feels heavy. Like, it's weird. But if there was those days where I was feeling weak, then I wouldn't try to catch up with all the other girls like I used to. I'd just be like, just do your own thing, go to your own rack, like, just do your own thing. Do with what your body can handle today. And I saw such a big change in myself, and it was so freeing that I was starting to love who I was again on the inside, and definitely love what was happening on the outside too, because I was taking such better care of myself. I loved the changes in my body that I was seeing. I loved that I had the strength and the good set of mind to be able to sit down and eat healthy and limit my cheat meals and limit this and that. I'm sorry, bro. I can hear the lawnmower in the background. That's so annoying. I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about that. I was just loving all this stuff about who I was being as a person. I was being a good girlfriend. I was being a good woman for Daniel. I was being a good woman for my son. I was being a good mom. I was just happy again. And I really think that it showed. I even took a hiatus from everything, from Instagram, from Facebook. I took 6 months off, and it was the most freeing thing I could have ever done. And I came back just so much better, so much healthier, with so much more confidence. And it's like I said, I sit here today, I still struggle with some things. There are still things that I don't like about myself on the inside, about what I do or how I act. There are things on the outside that I still don't like about myself, my fucking inner thigh fat, my longha. There's things that I still don't like. But I have more love for other things, that those things that I don't like, they don't really faze me. And to me, the confidence that's the most important is the confidence that you have about who you are as a person. You gotta be good with that. Be good with that, because it was like that stage that I was in before. You got the banging body, but on the inside, you don't love anything about yourself. You gotta love what's inside first. You gotta love who you are first. And if you don't like who you are, then you gotta change that. You got to change the way that you see yourself or the way that you act. You just got to change it. And I feel as if because I've been through this long journey, that I have a very drill sergeant mentality when it comes to the way I tell people to do things, or the advice that I give when it comes to people who are like, how do I lose weight? Or, how is it that you're able to wear a tank top and not be embarrassed by the fact that you don't have an arm? I'm very much drill sergeant. Like, hey, you want to lose weight? Fucking eat healthy and exercise. Point blank in the fucking period. Like, that's what you gotta do. And I'm not being mean, I'm just telling you the fucking truth, bro, because I've been there, I've done that. How do you wear a tank top and you're not embarrassed? I don't have an arm and I'm always trying to hide it. Bro, you gotta work on loving who you are and accepting the fact that you don't have an arm anymore. It's just who you are. You can't change it. You can't change it. No amount of exercise and no amount of healthy food is gonna make your arm grow back, bro. It's who you are. Accept it. I accept it, and that's why I wear whatever I want now. And, I'm very straightforward about things and about the way I give advice. And I want you guys to know that I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm not doing it to be a bitch to you. I'm doing it out of straight up love, bro. Like, I've been there. I've been through some shit in my life, and confidence has not always been a big thing for me. But I've gone through this long journey and I know what it takes. And I know that if I can do it, being the person that has gone through the amount of crap that I've been through in my 30 years of living, then I know that you can do it too. I know that you can find the love within yourself, and I know that you can have the confidence that you've always wanted. It is attainable. It is attainable. Confidence is always attainable. It's not like it's a certain amount of money to buy it or anything. Like, confidence is attainable for everyone. It's just a matter of you sitting down and that fucking lawnmower, bro. It's just a matter of you sitting down and really telling yourself that enough is enough. It's time to change who I am on the inside if you're not liking something that's going on there, or it's time to make a change on what I don't like on the outside. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. There's no time to sit and complain about it. There's no time to sit and cry about it. This life can be cut so short in an instant. Believe me, like, my life could have been cut so short 6 years ago. It could have been taken like that. And life is very, very short. And if you don't like something about yourself, do something about it. Stop crying about it. Stop stressing about it. Do something about it. I want you to be happy. I want you to love yourself. I want you to have more love than hate. I want you to be there, but you gotta wanna be there. You have to want it, man. You gotta want it so bad. So, with that being said, that is another episode of the Unarmed Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I hope that you were able to take something away from this. I hope that you were able to find motivation, inspiration, whatever the fuck you need to get up and going. I hope you found it in this episode today. I know there are so many of us out there who struggle with confidence. It's not easy to obtain, but it is obtainable, man. It is. And it's like I said, you just got to start finding all the things that you do love about yourself and hold on to those things and never let them go. Hold on to them, bro, and hold on to them tight. Don't ever let that stuff go that you love about yourself. And remember that the love will always trump the hate. Don't ever forget that. All right, guys, so that's it for today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please, please, please go leave us some good reviews on iTunes or wherever you listen. Your reviews do wonders for the podcast. They bump it up, they get more people hearing it. So if you enjoy it, please go leave us a good review. Or if you're not enjoying it, bro, tell me. I'm here for the criticism. Tell me what you don't like about it. Tell me what you would like to hear more of, etc., etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you tune in next week for our next episode. Hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week at that. And I will talk to you guys next time. Have a good one.